Oh, hey, hello there. Don't mind us. We were just daydreaming. We're happy to welcome you to the Monday afternoon Advanced live stream here at Advanced Magazine Studio Classroom. My name is Peter, and I'm joined this week by John. Hello, John.
Hello. Sorry you caught us daydreaming. It's something we all do sometimes.
Yeah. And you never know when it's going to happen, but sometimes it's when we're really, really busy and our mind just says, I need 10 seconds, I need 2 minutes just to wander or something. Or other times, it's like on a easy Saturday afternoon, you go to the coffee shop or maybe out in the park with a little drink of some sort and you just sit and kind of let your eyes go out of focus, and your mind just goes wherever it goes. And so we wanted to give you some vocabulary to talk about that. Like, that's our purpose here, that's our mission here, is to help you improve your English by learning vocabulary in all sorts of ways and interacting with you guys. You can start by interacting with our poll question today.
The poll question
How often does your mind wander?
Which is another expression for a daydream. To wander means to walk without a specific direction. There's a famous English phrase, not all who wander are lost.
Yes.
But here, if your mind wanders, it means it's not thinking something intentional.
Right. You don't wander somewhere deliberately. Wandering means you go somewhere but not deliberately.
Hi,
so,
Agatha.
Does your mind wander too often? Focus is hard. Often, when I allow it to. Now and then, hardly ever. A steel trap.
That's
and there's
a great
another
expression
for someone who's very focused with their mind, super concentrated, mind like a steel trap. Doesn't miss a thing, eye for detail, all that.
Yeah, steel is a metal, right? A very hard alloy metal. And a trap is, it catches animals and holds them there.
Right.
So if your mind is like a steel trap, it means it catches ideas and it does not let go.
Exactly.
I think about a bear trap, right? You step in that thing and you're not going anywhere. My mind.
Yeah.
So for me, I feel like, oh, hi, you like to veggie out. Now, that is the that is the
like
full
to
phrase, I
veggie
guess.
out, yes.
We normally say just veg out. Veggie out does sound hunka-ai, very cute.
You know where that comes from? Veg, short for veggie, short for vegetable.
Yeah.
And it's kind of got an edge to it because sometimes if people have some kind of brain injury in which they are not really aware and not processing things, they will be described as being in a vegetative state.
Like a plant.
Yeah, like a plant, just not, breathing and eyes open, but not processing. Nobody home, as they say. We call that a vegetative state.
Yeah, and we use that in a similar way. If you're daydreaming on the sofa or just watching TV, you are a couch
potato.
Couch potato. You've probably heard that one before. Hi guys, Steve. When you were at the Research Institute, you daydreamed about what would happen to your future. Like what your future collection list. Steve, you are a collector. We know this about you. Your future job, and will I get a girlfriend in the future? Friends, that's our other poll question for today.
Yeah,
will Steve get a girlfriend? You need to love English.
All kinds of daydreams.
And you need to love collecting.
Right.
All right.
Agatha, visiting Disneyland can satisfy my daydreaming of visiting some place is wonderful, particularly Disneyland. I think that's a daydream for a lot of us. And
to quote the famous Disney, I think it's Pinocchio or Cinderella. A dream is a wish your heart makes when you're fast asleep.
Yes, I've heard that somewhere.
But now we're talking about the wishes your heart makes when you're wide awake, called daydreaming.
Right, daydreaming. So these are dreams that are a bit more coherent. The dreams we have when we're asleep are just like, what's going on here? I don't understand. Or sometimes they can be very nice, or sometimes they're scary. But a daydream is something that, that you got some control over. You've got some awareness. Your mind isn't just in a vegetative state, as it were.
We have a couple different phrases for seeing things in your mind when you're not asleep. One of the words it starts with an H.
Yes.
Hallucinate.
Hallucinate. That's our first vocab word for today. Hallucinate.
Wow,
hallucinate.
You did good. A+.
Yes.
Hallucinate. If you hallucinate, you are having a hallucination. Hallucination is like a dream. You're seeing something. I believe there's a word in there, lucid, meaning clear. If something is lucid, it means clear. Hallucinating means you see something clearly, even though it's not there.
Right.
Now, hallucinating often happens under the influence of some kind of a drug, right? Or you might see that, or in some kind of a vision, or if you're just so tired.
Yeah, if you're tired, if you haven't eaten for 3 days, if you are going through some kind of physical suffering, that can can, not necessarily, but it can lead to hallucinations. Big thing about hallucination is it's not something you choose to see.
Right.
It's something you just see, you start noticing it. People who are going through withdrawal from drugs will sometimes suffer hallucinations in that withdrawal process. Just a quick plug here so you know what's going on with our advanced magazine for the month of March. We're pivoting off of today the cover story here about a guy who sailed across the Atlantic from like Spain to the Caribbean in a boat race. He built the boat himself, and he had some experience with sailing, but not with sailing across the wide open ocean in boat races. It was a daydream, actually, for him. He just had, the way you read the article, you'll see that he just had this impulse to suddenly enter this race where you build your own sailboat and then sail across the Atlantic, race these other boats. So we thought, let's talk about daydreaming.
Steve, you went to Disneyland in Tokyo, and there are so many magical dreams that were waiting for you when you get into the Wonderland. Wonderland is a great term there.
Yes.
So hallucinating is very clearly seeing something that's not there. Another word is to ruminate. Ruminating is to think about something.
R-U-M-I-N-A-T-E, ruminate.
Yeah, and it literally means to chew. Sometimes if you're a science person, you'll see this term ruminants, meaning cows and sheep and some kind of deer, I believe. They are animals that chew the cud. They kind of digest grass in a very chewing way. They're called ruminants. You won't see that word a lot, but the word ruminate is very helpful, and it means to chew on your ideas.
Right, to mentally chew on your ideas.
I'm a ruminator.
You're a ruminator?
I'm a ruminator. I'm always thinking about something, whether I want to or not.
Yeah.
If something gets stuck in my brain, it goes around and around.
That's actually also my favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, The Ruminator.
Ooh.
He goes around, he's from the future, he goes around thinking.
The Ruminator. You're thinking of the Terminator.
I'm thinking of something else here.
I'll be back. Practice noob. Hi. You make a great point about the modern use of the word hallucinate. AI chatbots can also sometimes hallucinate some misinformation.
Yes.
Yeah, we use this term. Actually, the most common use of this term is now in discussions about AI, when AI makes things up. And we still aren't 100% sure why and when AIs hallucinate, but it is a big point of discussion about AI.
And so we've got hallucinate, ruminate, and now here's our third vocab word for you, reverie. R-E-V-E-R-I-E, reverie. And reverie is a word that means basically what we mean by daydream. It's not a hallucination. You choose to sort of enter a reverie, to go into that kind of mental state, but it's not ruminating either. It's not deliberately thinking about something, chewing something mentally, like John said. Reverie is sort of when you do just sort of look out the window and kind of let your mind wander, and that's a reverie. And you'll often hear it when people call you back to attention. They'll say, John, what were you, in a reverie or something?
That's right. It's almost always a positive thing, right? You could say the student went into a reverie thinking about how they were going to get into their college of their dreams. I think it's loosely connected with the word revere, to kind of adore and give respect to something. But it has this idea you're thinking about something positive, even if it doesn't happen.
Speaking
of daydreaming,
I remember
Jim Carrey.
A movie, The Truman Show, with Jim Carrey, a wonderful movie, taught me a lot of things about the world. Yeah, that is he used to daydream in that movie.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, it's hard to talk about it without spoiling it.
Okay.
But yeah, if you haven't seen
very interesting
The Truman Show with Jim Carrey, good movie. It's not, if you like Jim Carrey, great. If you don't like Jim Carrey, it's still a good movie because he doesn't do his usual Jim Carrey stuff where he's just all wacky and everything. He plays an actual guy. It's still funny, but there's also some seriousness to it too.
I wonder what Jim Carrey's Chinese name is. As a side reverie for a moment, it always cracks me up to hear like Hollywood celebrities' Chinese name. I learned that Justin Bieber is Xiao Justin. Lil Justin. I love it. I love it. Lil Justin. Xiao Justin.
Well, I'm busy enough learning the pronunciation of Chinese names of Chinese movie stars, like what we know in the West as Chow Yun Fat, of course, in Chinese is Chow Yun Fa. I'm probably still mispronouncing it. Is that something like that?
I don't know, but pronouncing these names correctly for me is wishful thinking.
Yes.
This is a term that maybe
That's
you know already.
Word, wishful thinking.
You need to know this one. We know a wish, right? A dream is a wish your heart makes. a hope. But wishful thinking means what?
Wishful thinking is something you wish was true, basically. Wishful thinking is a phrase, it's two words, wishful and thinking, and it means, something you wish was true but is not true.
That's right. It did not come to pass. So it's
yeah.
not just a daydream, it's something, it isn't going to happen.
Yeah, and it's kind of, the nuance here is that it's not a complete fantasy. Wishful thinking, you wouldn't say like, oh, I wish I could go to Mars and live on Mars and then go to Saturn. It's not something
Well,
completely...
that's getting closer. That's sort of
Well,
possible.
I should have chosen a more obvious example. Like, I wish I could go to the Andromeda Galaxy or something. And it's not something completely impossible, but wishful thinking, people will say it when, you want to do something, but you don't have the right amount of money for it. You don't have enough money. You're probably not going to be able to have enough money for it, just as an example here. And, we'll say, hey, look, that's a good idea, but it's wishful thinking to think that we can pay for it in this year. We're going to have to wait more years, save up some more money, something like that. So it's wishful thinking.
Full of wishes,
Yeah, it's
right?
not complete fantasy, impossible stuff, but it is something that, you're not thinking about clearly if someone says, hey, buddy, that's just wishful thinking.
Yeah, there's another term that we sometimes use. It's a little less common, but I think you'll like it. Castles in the air.
Yes,
Castles
wonderful
in the
poetic
air.
term. Castles in the castle in the air.
Illusion. Claire, you point out that illusion. Illusion is more like a hallucination. It is not true. Something that is the facade or like the face of something, but it's not really true. So you can say the fact that she was rich was just an illusion. She was wearing nice clothes, but she had no money. That would be an illusion. Something is illusory, means it's imaginary, but it looks like it's true.
Right.
So you're actually seeing it in real life.
Exactly. An illusion has the appearance of reality.
Yeah.
But maybe you've heard of the word mirage. It's not a vocab word, but very similar. Mirage, usually you hear it when someone's in the desert and they have a mirage. They're wandering through the desert, they're hot and the sun's burning down and they suddenly see a pool of water and they run towards it, but it turns out to be a mirage. An illusion. Same thing.
So I guess an illusion could be something that is you're imagining that you're seeing.
Right.
Yeah, fair. So the castles in the air, by the way, means the imagination itself, the positive thing. You could say, my dream of a beach house in Florida was just castles in the air. It hadn't really happened yet.
Yeah, it's
Steve,
exactly.
Save money, buy a big house, take care of your family, have a wonderful life, get good health. You can have a wonderful life, God willing, with all those things in very, very moderation. So I would say...
not all these things are wishful thinking necessarily. It's good to be humble about what we can achieve, but these wishful thinking is like wanting to save more money, buy a big house, take care of my family, have a wonderful life, to get good health by the end of this week.
Oh, wishful thinking.
That would be wishful thinking.
Agatha, you mentioned that winning the lottery is wishful thinking. That is a perfect example. So last, we've got this phrase. If you've seen Inside Out, you saw this dream become reality. Your train of thought. Inside Out is that Pixar movie where they go inside the brain.
There's two of them, Inside Out and Inside Out 2.
But the train of thought means the actual process of your thinking. A train can be more than just like a hoche, like a locomotive. It can also be a procession. You could say there was a train of little ducks following the mama duck, for example, a train or a trail. You also sometimes would call the people who follow a king his train, the people that follow them. So your train of thought means that the thoughts one after the other. Some people's train, I feel like my train of thought is often very lateral, like it's here and there. And some people's train of thought is more linear.
You often hear it used when people forget what they were talking about. They will say, so I wanted to make this point, and now back to the original point, and I've lost my train of thought. But anyway, the point is we need to go this way instead of that way, something like that. It means somebody forgot what they were going to say, and the train got derailed, as it were.
When do you lose your train of thought? Answer that in English. Say to your friends, I lose my train of thought when I smell food.
Right.
It's lunchtime.
Exactly. And that's our second discussion question for today that you can also chime in on. Where does your mind tend to go when it wanders?
What was that?
See, where does your mind go just now when I was asking you the question? And
You're asking me a question?
I think it's wandering still as we speak here. But where does your mind go when it wanders? Where does your mind go, John? When you have a reverie, where does it tend to go? What's one of the places it goes?
Well, you know what? The Bible says that where your treasure is, your heart will be. So whatever, that was Jesus' famous teaching. Like the things that you value is where your heart and your mind will automatically go to. So what do I value? If I'm really focused on my work, I'll often think about my work. If I'm really focused about my kids or some problem in my life and fixing that, then I'll often drift there. I'll often think about God if I'm, at certain times. So it kind of depends on my overall direction of life, So that's why it's really important to value. I believe it's important to value God and your family and good things, so that when your mind wanders, it drifts to positive things.
Right. Yeah. When my mind wanders, it can go this place or that place. One of the places it will often go is into the past.
Oh, okay.
I'm getting up there in my years, and the
just turned
longer
29.
you live, just turned 29. So I'm constantly thinking about the past 20 years of my life. But the longer you live, the more of your life there is in the past, and the more you will sometimes think back on it, think back on good times, think back on maybe an opportunity you missed. Sometimes there's a kind of pleasure in thinking about sad things.
That's actually called nostalgia.
Nostalgia,
literally the pain of remembering, nostalgia. Speaking of the past, our poll is coming in. It looks like often is the winner. Almost half of the people say often when I allow it to. How often does your
mind wander? Often when I allow it to. Okay, that's good.
That's different from your mind wandering off, right? You say something wanders off.
Which is the problem for about a quarter of you out there. We're sorry to hear that. Too often, focus is hard. Focus is hard. Maybe we'll do an episode one time here on the live stream about how to more focus your mind and achieve better concentration.
It will be like a steel trap when we're done with it.
It'll be like a steel trap,
Well, friends, that's all the time we have for today. Looks like, Steve, you said your mind goes to art school. Claire, you say flight of ideas. Is it normal? A flight of ideas. I get what you're saying. I think we might tweak that a little bit. You could say a flight of fancy.
A flight of fancy.
Specific term. But you could also say I get what you're saying with flight of ideas. I don't think that's really bad English, but I would say it in a slightly different way, especially for formal writing.
Right,
Steve,
and you can apply flight to a lot of things. When an idea really takes off, it's, you're expressing it clearly, people are agreeing with it, there's enthusiasm for it. You could say that it takes flight. But
there you go. Your imagination takes flight. That's
your imagination takes flight, or flight of fancy, like we said. That's another sort of wishful thinking sort of expression, flight of fancy.
Agatha says that her mind wanders about her next family vacation destination when life is busy and she's so tired. Yes, it's very easy when you're tired to dream of greener pastures, right? Some easier condition.
Yes, we all dream of greener pastures at one time or another. Let's just, Steve here, my mind tended to go to art school when the teacher was talking about history lesson. I will start imagining my cartoon character friends were talking to me, and I was in workshop when my mind gets me there. Interesting, Steve. I appreciate the detail too. Thanks for sharing about that.
All right, friends. Well, our minds are going to wander off right now. Hopefully, your mind wanders to lunch if you haven't eaten already. We appreciate seeing you guys.
Absolutely. We will be back next Monday with another topic for you out of your trusty Advanced magazine to learn some vocab and practice some vocab. But for today, keep your mind focused and happy daydreaming.